We always read press releases from the Commanders, and there's one yesterday that I think is actually a fairly big deal. Um, that might go under the radar a little bit. I'm reading now. Loudoun County, Virginia. When it's football news, it comes from Loudoun. When it's business stadium news, it comes from Landover. Pair of L's. Let's hope they're not taking L's. The Washington Commanders announced today that they have named Brandon Sosna as the team's senior vice president of football operations. Sosna joins the Commanders after working for the Detroit Lions for the past 2 years. In Detroit, he held the role of senior director of football administration. In that role, Sosna oversaw Detroit's strategic planning and management of the salary cap. He was also the club's chief contract negotiator. So he's coming to DC. Adam Peters is going to be his boss. He's the lead contract negotiator. He's going to oversee a number of football operation departments, including analytics, health and performance, and football administration. Will be one of the club's liaisons to the business operation. Also going to have a huge part in kind of front office personnel, building the roster. A lot of reasons to like this dude. Obviously, the overhaul in Detroit has been really impressive. I got yesterday, though, specific to Sosna, an unsolicited text from somebody at USC, or a USC alum, I guess is more accurate. And this was just when it was reported that he might be coming. Sosna would be a very savvy hire. He's a folk hero at USC, pretty much single-handedly responsible for the move to the Big Ten, the Lincoln Riley hire. Really smart, great vision, great communicator. So now I'm like thinking, like, who is this dude? The USC to the Big Ten move? Now, college sports is so all over the place, and a lot of people probably resent it. But if you're USC, you thank goodness that you got into the Big Ten rather than sticking it out with the Pac-12, and now their games are on, like, the CW. I don't even know. They got a television deal, but it was like, I'm a Maryland alum, and Big Ten still feels weird to me, but thank God they're there and not in the ACC. Like, you either get on the biggest boat or you start sinking. And for this dude, there's like a common theme at all the stuff I look at with Sosna. I remember Lincoln Riley after they lost, I want to say with Baker at Oklahoma. Talking to a friend of mine that was an Oklahoma alum, played football there, knows all the people back there. And I was like, you guys worry about losing Lincoln? Because I think at that point it was maybe the Texas job was open or something. And he's like, man, people don't leave the Oklahoma job. The Oklahoma job is a destination. And he was right until he wasn't. Right until USC pulled off the hire of getting Lincoln Riley. I mean, that was a massive deal. So if you think about this Brandon Sosna dude, visionary, right? Like, probably audacious to some degree. Like the audacity to, yeah, we're going to go get the guy out of Oklahoma to come to Southern Cal. The audacity to say, nah, man, screw the Pac-12. We're going to the Big Ten. Oh, and our teams are now going to be playing against Rutgers. Like, the audacity of the logistics and travel involved is fairly ridiculous, but it's looking ahead to kind of the future. And then if you dig in a little bit more on this dude, obviously what Detroit did the last couple of years is really impressive. I mean, they've turned around 30 years of awful football, probably longer than that. And, last year they were 3-4 plays away from going to the Super Bowl. I mean, I imagine they're among the top 5 favorite teams to win the Super Bowl this year, I would guess. And they've done it their own way, and they draft their own way, and it's been really impressive. But, dude, I went back and read more on this Sosna guy. Before he was with USC, and the work they did at USC is clearly remarkable. Before that, he was at Cincinnati. And Cincinnati has never been like major market college sports. Like, I remember when Bob Huggins was there and their basketball team was pretty good with, like, I think Nick Van Exel might have gone there. But remember that Cincinnati football run? I think they had Ritter. But more importantly, they had Luke Fickell was the coach there. and people kept being like, "Man, why isn't Fickle going anywhere? Why is Fickle staying at Cincy?" I think like the Notre Dame job might have come open. I know there was talk of like Ohio State, all these places, and he stayed there. Now he has since left, but it's hard. Like at USC, you see somebody with a grand scale and vision in Sasna, but it's also USC. You're in LA. Like you've got, the song girls. What do they call the cheerleaders for USC that are always wearing the little sweaters? Like USC is fairly iconic, so it's fair to dream big, right? Like you're in a place that is going to celebrate and push like a grand vision. But at Cincinnati, when he was at Cincinnati, they went to the college football playoff. They got their doors blown off, but they went. Good morning, Mr. Mitchell. And this dude went to Penn, Ivy Leaguer. Like I just think I think this, and I'm sure you guys talked about it yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to comment on it. I just think this dude seems like he'll be running NFL teams for many, many years. He strikes me as like a future president of a club kind of guy, especially if he's able to kind of operate in both worlds between the personnel side and the business development side. Oh, and by the way, they're probably going to build a new practice facility and stadium, so a new business development kind of guy helps. Did you guys talk about the Sasna yesterday? What was your reaction to it?
I mean, my reaction was that they're building a true NFL franchise.
Right.
It wasn't about him per se, but I'm looking at the fact of, I go back to Josh Harris stating that you can win. Everyone pays the same amount. Everyone has the same amount of athlete, but you win in other areas. And that's what he's doing. Like when you think about when Dan was here, you had Bruce and a head coach.
Right.
And all the other people that might have been in some position, they had no power. They did nothing. Right now, we have heard about analytics leader. We heard about this guy. You got Adam. They still working on somebody from Baltimore. They are constantly trying to get everybody and they're trying to get not the absolute best, but someone that's around there and people that have great hope and hype. They're getting all of them because it's not just about the players. Who's going to be here longer? The guys that can pick players for you. And if you have a consistency in that, you can be consistently good, like the Ravens.
Totally.
Okay?
Like the
like
Niners.
The Steelers.
Right.
Like the Niners. Wherever Andy Reid seems to damn go.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's what they're building. So I'm still impressed by first person, Josh Harris, because he is the one that started all this stuff. And he's getting people that have the same mindset that they're going to build people that are under them that can be able to go out and do the things they need to do at a high level. You have to do that too. You can go get the best players in the world, and if you have the people in place to pick them, you're not going to have the best players for a long time.
Sure. And I think it shows a willingness to spend from Harris, clearly. And for the reputation he gained early in his ownership of, the Hainsworth contract and Dion and whatever else, the willingness to spend over the last 10 years in Ashburn's been non-existent.
But
that's
they're
totally
willing to spend, but they spend on bad investments. If you go in the stock market right now,
but they didn't build out staffs like this.
They didn't build staff like this at all, but everything was based off of what, like I said, the top was deciding that's what I want. If you go in the stock market right now and you bet $10 billion on what Boone Jug told you to go bet on, what INND, whatever that was. And then you go the next day and you bet on another, and all those things fail. You show the willingness to spend, but it's stupid investments. And I think that if we go back over the last 20 plus years, it was stupid investments. The things they spent on $6,000 chairs for offices that has nothing to do with the people getting better on the football field. Okay.
Yeah, they took out the kitchen to expand the
that's what I'm saying. So right now, what you're seeing is intelligence. You're seeing smart business sense, smart business moves. And I think I'm at the point where I'm going to sit back and let this stuff transpire and let it take on. Because I'm looking at it now compared to teams that have been successful, and this is basically how they do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and the other part of this is like folks asking about the timeline. This was always going to be the timeline. Like front office, the coaching life cycle, if you will, is after the season. That's when coaches get fired. That's when coaches get hired. It's
Mhm.
after the season. Now, the front office timeline is usually related to the draft. So you get through the draft, even when you take over, then you rebuild everything, then you overhaul things. I saw that Chris Polian's out. That is not a huge surprise.
That's in
That's a dude that largely gets by because of his last name, because his father's like a Hall of Fame evaluator. I think listen to the now. This is from
Colts are was he up in New England?
who?
I say Colts or New England?
He was here.
Here?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Um,
Tell you right there what I know about him.
yeah. But listen to this. Like, what is this? So Mary Kay Cabot does a great job covering the Browns. Browns hiring former Commanders personnel exec Chris Polian as a special advisor.
Hey,
That's like, I'll take you.
I like those advising roles because you know what? You just advise stuff and you can second guess people and you first guess people. And guess what? If the person that hired you believes in you, they're gonna go along with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think, hey man, it's good to have a name.